fit that
Okay.
much speed in there.
Black, just refresh. Let me know if you can see it. Just went live a few seconds ago.
Yep,
We're good?
it's live now.
Excellent. All right. Cool. So give me like 30 seconds and start the race.
Sounds
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Cool. So welcome to race number 10, or sorry, yeah, season 6, race number 10 at Le Mans tonight. I'm your host, O'Prey. We'll be getting started very shortly. I was talking to myself for about 5 or 6 minutes, not realizing that the stream didn't start on Twitch's end, so I was just talking to the mic. We're driving Le Mans today. It is an incredibly long track, about 4.25 minute lap time, so we are reducing the lap total from 21, which is our typical laps for most tracks, to 15, so we can actually get out of here before the night is over. So we have 15 laps. One of those laps will be a pace lap. All of the same rules from previous races apply. So we do have collision turned on. We do have fuel simulation turned on. ABS brake is the only assist that we allow, and we allow the braking line so drivers who are newer to the Forza 7 series can have a bit of a shot when it comes to staying on the track and being more competitive. Because of how long this track is, it actually is very important that the drivers know exactly how much fuel their cars require, because pitting at the correct moment will be very critical. It'll be very easy for a lot of these cars to run out of gas if they don't pit at that perfect time. I was talking to one of the drivers beforehand. He mentioned, Vindax, he mentioned that his car, for instance, needs to pit on lap 8. If he stretches it to lap 9, he can't finish the race. So we'll have to keep that in mind as well. So this is a very simple track, but an incredibly long track. It's very two long straightaways. Followed by a whole bunch of small little turns, but pretty much a simple track and just incredibly long. So top speed will be a major requirement tonight. If you want to check us out at Over30Clan, check us out the Over30Clan. You can check us out at Over30Clan.com. We're a clan dedicated to the older generation of gamers, the pre-internet humans, if you will. So we are just figuring out our pace lap here. Which is something we can never seem to get right. So as you can see, this track is essentially a runway for a 747 jumbo jet with a whole bunch of turns that connect the two ends. It's an incredibly fast track. You will definitely hit your top speed of your car with absolutely no problems, and top speed is the most critical thing your car needs on this track. The turns, few turns are rather challenging, but for the most part, it's a pretty simple track, just incredibly long, incredibly flat, incredibly fast. So if we look at the telemetry here and move it over to... Come on. Here we are. Alright, let's take a look at Black Death's top speed here. Actually, who are we? GKev's top speed. You know, SS of 180 miles per hour, so pretty incredible. So just a reminder that this first lap is the pace lap, led by our good friend Delray. I'm going to pop up to Vindaxi here in 4th place. Penalties are turned on, by the way, so if you cut the track or if you hit another driver, you will incur penalties as well. We expect the penalties to be rather high on this track, as some of the turns are very easy to accidentally cut. I do expect the drivers to spread out quite considerably after we get going. There's a lot of track to cover in this race, so I think it's going to lend itself to the driver spreading out, so we may not see too many crazy passes or accidents, but you never know. As Del Rey spins off the track. So that's probably one of the more trickier turns. The other thing to note, too, on this track, when we were playing it in the pre-race before, is that the pit is actually quite difficult to navigate. So usually with Forza 7, you just fly into the pits with as much speed as you possibly can get to that pit line as quickly as possible, and the game kind of grabs your car and does the rest, right? With this track, you actually have to navigate a pretty narrow corridor and do a few turns to actually get into the pit. So it's going to require drivers to slow the heck down. If you scream into the pit at full speed, you will wreck your car in the pit lane. So it's something that the drivers will have to look out for. So with Del Rey spinning off the track, Black Death will be our pit, or our practice lap leader, if you will. We're currently following Vindaxi, and Black Death's in front in first place currently. Vindadu second. Vindaxi in third. And we're off the first real lap of Le Mans. Race number 10, Season 6. So the lap times we were seeing in the pre-race were around 4:25-ish, 4.25 minute lap times. So already seeing a large spread of drivers on this track today as we hit the first bump out after the first long straightaway. So these corners are very, very easy to accidentally cut. So we'll have to keep an eye on the penalties this evening. Black Death is building an incredible lead here on the flats. Vindandu and Vindaxian are vying for second and third place. We do have GCAV pretty close behind in fifth place. Centurio Butts in fourth. Outcold and Del Rey in the back in 6th and 7th place. So we'll check in with Black Death in a second and be back up here to GCAV. We'll see that, yeah, he's still vying for 4th place in Centurio Butts, keeping a close eye on what he's up to. So it's just basically a series of straightaways with a quarter of the track being, you know, some difficult turns, but the majority of this is just really just a long flight path. I think they break it up with some turns so your cars don't catch air and fly. And there's Vindadu holding on to second place, Vindaxian close behind in third. And we're taking a look at GCAV as he approaches Centurio Butts here in 4th place. You see some of the cars having a little bit of try to push these corners just a little bit too much. Handling is not a virtue typically spec'd out in this track, so it's all about top speed. So you're going to see cars sort of waver on these shorter turns because the handling is not priority. And there's the entrance to the pit there. So we're getting up to our lap number 3 here. We're going to pop over to Black Death and watch him do a lap, our current race leader. So he's driving the 1964 Aston Martin DB5. Again, tuned for that top speed at 6.8. See, handling and braking are definitely deprioritized in this build. Okay, we are seeing, I'm just checking to see if we can see the dash. Yeah, we see the RPMs, so we're not seeing the actual speed. That's really what I wanted to get into that today. What else we got? Telemetry, damage, suspension heat, friction. Take a look at the power. Let's turn that off. Let's just pop into the telemetry here, so it's sort of top speed that Black Death's able to get with the Aston Martin. So I saw top speed there of 186 on the second part of the straightaway. I'll have to keep an eye on that. So since Butts, Vindati, and Vindaxian are still fighting for second, third, and fourth, let's go ahead and take a look at, we're actually looking at Vindaxian's car in fourth place. Centurio Butts is up front there in second. Vindati in the middle in third. Just barely avoids a collision there with Vindatu. So some penalties coming up on the board. Black Death with a half a second penalty. G-Cub with 5.25 second penalty. And we're hitting the best lap currently at a 4:30. Daxing eyeing that third place spot. A little paint transfer there between Vindaxi and Vendado. Probably the more complicated technical part of the track there. Those little S-curves. Centurio Butts leading with a 4:29 on the clock. Best lap time so far. Vindaxi managing to take Vendado very skillfully on that S turn. So Vindaxian climbs up to third place here on lap number 4. Back to that incredibly long, fast straightaway. Sitting at that about 180 top speed is what I saw there flashing. So let's so we are starting to see the drivers spread out quite considerably. This is an incredibly long track, so this stuff is bound to happen. So everyone kind of settles into their groove. We took a look here, so we're only on lap number 4, and if we look at the telemetry data here for Vindaxian, and we put it on gas, so we'll see he's already at only at 58.4% fuel, which could potentially be a major problem. So he does have to watch it very closely. He has little room for error. The lap number 8, he needs to pit by lap number 8. If he pits accidentally one lap too late on lap number 9, he won't have enough gas to finish. If he pits one lap too early, again, won't have enough gas to finish. So drivers have to be incredibly careful. Let's pop up to Centurio Butts, currently in second place, as he is closing in on Black Death. The bat out of hell car. About to take a look at... just going to get it down to the right screen here. So you see his top speed there in the top left, so he's coming around the final bend here. Let's see where he is in the track. So I have to take a look at what his top speed is, because he's able to catch up quite considerably here to Black Death. So he's not actually that far behind. He's only about 10 car lengths behind. So just in a few laps, he's made up quite the distance on Black. I'm curious to see what his top speed is in his Mercedes. As we see the penalties come in, so Black Death climbed up to a 3/4 second penalty. GKEV still the penalty leader in 5 1/4 seconds. Centurio Butts with a 4:29 best lap leader so far. So we might see a pass here from Centurio Butts. Can he do it on these S-turns without incurring too many of a penalty? Black Death spinning off the track, making it very easy for Centurio Butts to capture that first place. So Black Death falling back to 4th place from that accidental tire spin, losing control of his vehicle. Daxian being closer to breaking that 429 mark, 429.2. Current best lap time. So curious to see what his top speed will be here. This little Mercedes rocket of his. 186 is the top speed we've seen on the first part of the straightaway for Le Mans. Looks like he is going to easily pass it. Might hit 190. So 194, 195 being the top speed. So an incredibly fast car. That's why he was able to make up so much time on Black Death and take first place there. Whoops. Race info. Man, they make this menu system so bloody difficult. There we go. So Santero Butts climbing 6 places since the beginning of this race to capture first place in lap number 5. 10 laps to go. We'll back up here. We'll check back on him in just a minute. We'll back up to Black Death here, who is working to claim back his first place. He did have a bit of a spin out there before the line on lap number 4, just the very end of the track. Didn't collide with anyone or anything for the looks of it, but did lose 3 positions from that mistake. So Black Death will be looking for an opportunity to climb his way back up to first place. Still a lot of track to go. This is a very long track, 4-minute, 25-second lap times, roughly. So we still have 45 minutes of driving ahead of us today. As we get about halfway through lap number 5. So we haven't been able to go lower than the 429 mark. 429.2 is our best lap time so far. Like that, trying to stretch every turn as best he can and get as much speed around it to slowly climb up in the rankings. So it's kind of a dangerous game because you can spin out very easily. As you can see, Black Death's front end is very floaty in these turns. I think that's the technical term, as he takes that one a little wide. All right, we've begun lap number 6. Let's pop back to Del Rey. Haven't checked in with him all race. Del Rey, of course, driving the 1975 Fiat. Tuning a pretty high acceleration car. Still very high top speed. Again, handling, braking not prioritized in this track. So let's see the sort of top speed Delray is able to get on this first part of this straightaway. I think we've seen 194, I think 195 was the fastest speed. Delray approaching about 190 before braking very early. You got to make sure your car slows down before you hit this bend part or you're screwed. Oops. So let's check back in with the race leader here, Centurio Butts. I think Vindaxian is right on his heels here. So Vindaxian was able to catch up to Centurio Butts. So still a very competitive first to fifth place. Still a lot of track remaining. We're only halfway through lap number 6 here. 15 laps total. So 8 laps to go. Vindaxian seems to have a bit of a jump on Centurio Butts there out of that turn. Managed to hit the gas much faster, so we'll see if he can muster up some speed here. Centurio Butts is slightly pulling ahead, though. I think his top speed is just too damn much for anyone to catch, or his gear ratio is slightly different, but I felt like Vindaxian had an opportunity there to possibly pass Centurio Butts on that last straightaway. So while we're here, let's look at the fuel economy of these cars, if we can. So we see Vindaxian here is running at 28% fuel. Centurio Butts currently in first place, running at 49%, so he has one heck of a sipper. Vindadu running 30%. Black Death, 32%. GKev is running a 26%. 45% for Delray. Just seeing the fuel here. 37%. So yeah, so our Vindaxian is definitely running the least fuel efficient vehicle. And so it is imperative that he actually pits on the next lap. I believe he was telling me that if he doesn't, then he won't actually have enough fuel as he rubs bumpers with Centurio Butts there. Ooh, Centurio Butts almost losing control in that turn. Vindaxian right on his heels, definitely putting a lot of pressure on him. Vindaxian looking like he has a little bit of a head start, but then Centurio Butts ends up pulling away, so definitely something with the gear ratios there that... Ooh, Vindaxian being very aggressive with Centurio Butts, looking like he was going to whip out and pass him, but had to put on the brakes there to avoid a collision. So Vindaxian is definitely looking to pressure Centurio for that first place spot. Not content with the second place finish. So we're seeing the driver spread out just a little bit more. Still, again, competitive for first to fourth place, but the rest of the pack has dropped off quite considerably. We're almost halfway through the race this evening. Hey, Mirror. What's up, Mary? You want to watch some cars take off? It's an incredibly fast track. We'll check back with these two in just a moment here. Black Death caught up, so he's actually pretty close to Vendetta. Going into that last turn there as he swipes the side of his car on those tires. Lap number, I think it was lap number 4, Black had a bit of a spin up there at the line and dropped back to 4th place. Was leading for a few laps this race. Let's see, floats around these turns. So it appears we do have our first pit happening right now. So Tara Butts has opted to take his pit stop here in end of lap number 7, started lap number 8. We should see all the rest of the drivers pitting in the next lap or two. Vindaxian is scheduled to pit on lap number 8. Pretty much imperative for him, but everyone else, I believe, has an extra lap within their tank. We checked the gas earlier. Cold seems to have dropped out of the race. He has a DNF on his record. Possibly had a collision or maybe a connection issue. And we're down to 6 drivers from 7. See the penalties. Black Death, 2 minutes flat GCAB with 5 1/4 second penalty. Black Death, I said 2 minutes, but I meant 2 second penalty. The Daxian is still holding our best time at 4:29.22. You lost connection? Nah, that sucks, man. Such a slog of a race, too, to lose connection like 40 minutes into it. That sucks. Let's ping up to Vendetta here. I haven't checked in with him in a little while. So Centurion Butts was the race leader. He opted to pit on the end of lap number 7 there, so he's the first driver to pit this evening. As I mentioned, we do expect Vindaxian to pit this lap. If we actually take a look at Vindaxian's fuel, he's only at 7.7%, so he would not be able to make another lap without pitting there. So it's definitely imperative that he pits. So it'll be interesting to see if he hits the pits this lap or accidentally misses it. Oh no, I totally bet cold. The internet is just kind of overloaded right now, so it probably has something to do with that, which is unfortunate. Little blip in your connection and your race is over, right? So it's unfortunate here. So I'm just curious as to how, like, bang on perfect he has to be with his fuel efficiency here. So he's running at 5.9%. I want to just see when he hits the pit what his fuel is actually at. We'll check that just a moment here as we put on the ticker. So he is coming up to the pit. He will be pitting this lap or not finishing the race. I mean, those are really his two options. He'll have probably under 4% fuel left in his tank. He is running the heaviest fuel guzzling vehicle on the track today. So there's the pits up to your right there, and he is opting to pit as he should. So let's just take a look at the telemetry data here. So he's going to be running around 4.7-ish% fuel when he finally hits the pits. As I was mentioning before, the pits are actually very challenging. This is not AI driving the car. You actually have to drive it yourself to this point. And then the computer actually takes your car and puts it into the pit. So you can't come into the pit roaring out of hell or you're going to smash into the wall. Man, they're already putting fuel in his tank while he was still driving. That's incredible. Changing out his windshield, polishing his hubcaps, you know, just regular pit stuff. So let's go ahead and put the ticker back on, put the map back on, and we are good to go. So Vindaxian here exiting the pits. So we're seeing pretty much everyone, I think, pitting at this point. If we back up the GCAV here, yeah, we can see all the drivers are opting to pit. So Centurion Butts pitted on lap number 7. Pretty much everyone pitted on lap number 8. And Centurion Butts was managed to again take back first place. Now that everyone is fully pitted. I think that's the most pits we've seen in one lap. So within 2 laps, the entire board ends up doing their pit stop. Centurion Butts emerges in first place. Bumper a little worse for wear. You see the pit time is about 20 seconds there. Centurion Butts' top speed on this car is just incredible. We'll see it on the second part of the straightaway here with the telemetry data. You see the top speed there on your top left. This is the second straightaway. As he regains a bit of control there. We're seeing in excess of 194 miles per hour. So we'll check next lap there with Centurion Butts again, because I think he had a bit of a shaky start there on that last straightaway. So we'll pop back to Vindaxian, currently in second place. He still has Centurion Butts in his sights, so still a competitive first place here. Drivers remain very close to one another for the whole race. Vindaxian lagging for by about 2 seconds. Not a lot of time to have to make up on a map this long. Or on a track this long, I should say. Check back with him in just a moment. So, haven't checked in with Vendado in a little while. As you can see here, when everyone built tuned their cars, they did not tune it for handling at all. See, everyone's car is very floaty. Front end or the rear end likes to swing out. Have to be very careful of these more technical parts of the track. But this track does lend itself to top speed there. As you can see, Tira Butt's having I think the highest top speed out of everyone who's managed to remain in first place. Although Vindaxian looks like he is making a push here for second, possibly. Still a fair amount behind us in Tira Butts. So Tira Butts smashing the 429 with a 428.15, so almost cracking through the 428 time for the best lap. So manages to take a full second and 1/10 of a second off the previous lap leader's best time here at lap number 9. And he was having some trouble at the start of the second straightaway as well, so interesting to see if he was able to actually crack the 428 if he drives a perfect lap. So let's go ahead and take a look at Tira Butts and just take a look at his top speed here as he comes into that first long straightaway. He managed to hit, I think, a 194, 195 miles per hour last time we checked in with him. Seemed to exit that first turn going into the straightaway rather gracefully, so I do expect him to have a pretty high top speed here as well. Really just a testament to how early he ends up having to brake here. So 193, so not quite, I think, braking a bit early on this one, on this straightaway. That's what he does on the second part here. So we do hit that first little bump out, and then we go into the second straightaway. Well, 185. So we'll be interested to see if Tira Butts is able to crack the 428 mark for the best lap time. Check back with him in just a moment. Let's go take a look at Del Rey. I haven't spent much time with him this race as he is hitting the, well, yeah, well, he's probably going to hit a 185. Yeah, 184, 185 on this straightaway part. Here's the tires squealing there at the braking. A lot of very aggressive braking on this track. These rear left turn signal is seeing better wear. We're officially 3/4 of the way through the track here as we enter lap number 11, so 5 full laps to go. We're just taking a look at Delaware here. We'll finish up his lap number 10. So Vendaxian has a 1/4 second penalty. Black has a full 2 second. GK with a 5.25 second penalty as well. So penalties might come into play here at the end. Santero Butts hitting a 4:28.15 for the best lap time so far. Very close to cracking that 4:28 mark. Already entering his lap number 11. Let's check back in with Black Death. You drop back to 4th place there in lap number 4 because of a small error there at the end of the track. Still retaining that 4th place position. Everyone's spreading out pretty good. We still have a very competitive 1st place. Vendaxian is still fairly close to Santero Butts. I'm not sure if you'll be able to catch up. That acceleration that Santero has in that car is just unparalleled. If we look at Black Death's top speed, he's going to hit probably like 187 before he needs to brake here on the first straightaway. Well, it's the second straightaway, actually. It's quite a long track. Let's back up to our race leader here. Santero Butts currently in 1st place. He was driving like a bat out of hell. So he was hitting top speeds, I think, on the first straightaway of like 194, 195 miles per hour, which is just mind-bending speed for a B-class car. That's definitely been his strength. Is definitely has the fastest car on the track this evening. Everyone else hitting around 185, 186, 187 in some cases. These tunes are kind of batshit crazy, though. They are just everything into speed and acceleration, nothing into handling and braking. It's quite funny, actually, to watch these cars float around these turns here. These more technical bits of the track, but obviously with a 4.25 minute track where 3/4 of it is just a really long straightaway, you have to tune the car appropriately for whatever you're driving, but that's why we saw Black spit out there lap number 4. His handling is just very tricky. His car floats more than I think most do. So let's actually take a look at Black and I'll show you an example of what I mean. If you watch here as we get to the more technical bits, he almost has to drift around the turns. His front end swinging quite wildly. So definitely have to be very careful that you can easily oversteer and end up flipping around like you did lap number 4. But pretty much this one, Black's cars is slightly over-exaggerated, but pretty much everyone's car is like this for this track. Is everything put into top speed acceleration, nothing into handling and braking. Definitely a Le Mans tune. And Vendado here in third place. So Vendaxian about 8 seconds. So Vendaxian currently in second place, but 8 seconds behind the leader or so. Or I shouldn't say 8 seconds, actually. I should pay more attention to that strip. Yeah, one at 7/8 of a second behind the leader. See Delray there, pretty much drifting around those corners. A small drift. Yep. Centura to the 428.15. Still seeing if he can crack that 428 mark. So take a look at Delray's or GCAV's top speed here. Actually, who are we seeing? Vendado's top speed. So hitting around the 190 flat mark before he has to slam those brakes on. So if you're new here, this is Season 6, race number 10, Le Mans. Probably the longest track that we race. We typically do 21 laps. Tonight we've scaled it down to 15, more for time than anything, because of just how mind-bendingly long this track is. At 4 minutes and 28 seconds being one of the best lap times we've seen tonight. We are a clan dedicated to the over 30 generation of gamers. The pre-internet humans, if you will. Check us out at Over30Clan.com. This is, we do 2 seasons every year for Forza 7. We have a summer season and a winter season. We're currently on season number 6. This is the winter season. Race number 10, so we do have a few more races to go. We do 12 laps per season, 12 races per season. We do take the worst 2 times from every driver within the season, and we drop them off the points standings. So it accounts for things like tonight when we saw how cold with a DNF because of an internet connectivity issue, or if you can't make it because you have to watch the kids or what have you. So we do account for real life things like that with 2 races per season. It is a very competitive season this season. We are seeing the point standings changing pretty much weekly. Probably one of the more competitive seasons we've seen from the Over 30 Clan series racing. And we have around anywhere between 8 to 12 to 14 drivers per season. So if you are in the older bucket of gamers and you want to check out a clan that might be more suited to your gaming preferences, you can check us out at Over30Clan.com. Just about finished here with lap number 12. Getting to the more technical bits of the track here. So 3 laps remain. Naxian looking like he's making a little bit of time up here on Centaurio Butts. So I was correct. He is a full 7 seconds behind Naxian. Looks a lot smaller on the map there, but the map is so large that cars do appear a bit closer on the mini-map. Hey Delray, what lap were you on when you disconnected? Or not Delray, sorry, they are cold. What lap were you on? I think we also lost Delray. He is a DNF, and he was driving such a clean race as well. It's unfortunate. Probably due to an internet connectivity issue. Oh, 7 or 8? Yeah, I get no notification. I just see that on the ticker board. Your blip just kind of dies, goes away. So if I'm not paying really close attention, I don't notice it until I see it on the ticker. So Black Death looks like he's slowly catching up to Vendatti. I'm not sure if he has enough track to be able to pass him. So, I mean, still competitive fourth. I mean, if someone makes a mistake, we can definitely see some pole changes here. We have a competitive first and second place, competitive third and fourth. It's coming to the more technical part of lap number 13. So, 2 1/4 laps remain. Oh, really? That sucks. So what you got? So we got to get wires, man. Assuming it's like a wireless Xbox controller. Man, with Microsoft building the game, Microsoft running the operating system on your PC, Microsoft building your controller that you use for your PC for the game, there's a lot of Microsoft in there that can mess up everyone's gaming experience. And we are on lap number 14. 2 laps remain in tonight's race. Vidaxi making up close to 3 seconds just in the last lap. So he's definitely within striking distance of first place if he continues that up. But with only 8 minutes left in this track, not a lot of time. He's going to have to be very aggressive. Black Death is keeping pace with Vendatu there. Again, only 2 laps remain though, so we'll see if he's able to make some miracles happen. Oh yes, he is hardwired. Yeah, it could be a bad wire, maybe a broken side or what have you. And what a slog of a track, though, to be like 3/4 of the way through and then lose connection or something like that. Like, the amount of effort that goes into even just practicing this track. So Vinaxi does have a 1.25 second penalty as well, so even if he does manage to pass interior butts, he will have to be at least a 1.25 second ahead of him in order to win this race. So his chances are looking less likely as the time ticks by here, but anything's possible. Interior butts driving a clean race so far. That can all change in a blink of an eye in Forza 7. Ain't a problem, Gold. Appreciate it. I enjoy it. I mean, this track is a bit of a slog. You know, I might admit it's not the most exciting track to announce, but no, I do enjoy watching you guys race. It's quite fun. I mean, if you like speed, Le Mans is a great track, but just lends itself to just being so super long. Everyone gets so spread out. No real competition happens between the drivers. When you get more technical tracks, and you get, you know, you have some cars that accelerate in the straightaways, some cars that accelerate in the handling, and you can see some, you know, dynamic racing happening. People are able to catch up. I'm curious to see if Centuro Butts manages to crush that 428 mark, though. He's 15/10 of 1 second away from crushing it if he's able to make up some time in his best lap. As is customary, we will see our lap leader here for the final lap. I see he is just speeding around those turns. That was some nice maneuvering from Centurio Butts. Being very aggressive in this more technical part of the track. Almost drifting. So lap 15, our final lap here. Centurio Butts out in front by a fair margin. Currently no penalties to his name. We have lost 2 drivers, Delray and Neo Cold, unfortunately. Go Microsoft. Centurio Butts has crushed his 428 number, the 427.7. So his last lap being the best lap so far this evening, with 1 lap to go. As we flip over the telemetry data here to see his top speed on the straightaways. Again, his fastest speed, I think, was on the 198. So he enters the second straightaway here. It's about 184, 185. So Santero Butts on his last lap, shaving off 2.5 seconds on his best lap time to finish with a 427. So the first car to crack the 427 mark this evening on lap number 14. Got all those lucky sevens, 427, 77, 7. Just finishing up here the more technical part of this track. Last little technical bit. Driving some very solid lines. Being very aggressive through this technical bit. Curious to see what he will finish with in terms of lap time. The Santero Butts will be our leader this evening. Followed by Vindaxian, who is just crossing in second place. Vindadu in third. Black Death in fourth. And GKev in fifth. Let's take a look at Vindadu here as he finishes up the final portion of this track. Black Death in fourth, and GCAF finishing up here in fifth place. I'm going to give the old man racing paint job. So 427.777 is the current best lap time from Santero Butts. Black Death with a top speed of 232 miles per hour. That's an incredible top speed. We'll jump in with the drivers here.
Yeah, track just totally looks different there.
Hey guys, that was a marathon and a half, eh?
For real.
Yeah, it really sucks for the drivers that we lost. We'll have a moment of silence for them. Okay, now that that's over. Congratulations, Santero Butts.
Thank you.
With a crushing 127.77777777 127 lap time. 427, yes, sorry. That would be that would be really incredible if you managed to pull off a 177. But black with the top speed of 232 miles per hour. Which I don't know what lap you hit that on, Black, but
Yeah,
I thought...
This have been wheel spin.
Right? Yeah, your car lifted up off the track and...
Yeah, I think that's what it was. little two-wheel action.
Because I was keeping tabs on some. I was looking at a lot of you guys during that first and second part of the straightaway, and I noticed that a lot of you were approaching like the 180, 185 mark. And Santero Butts, man, your top speed was like 194 at one point. I saw it hit pretty high there. I mean, this is definitely a top speed track, but it's hilarious when you guys are getting to the very end of the track there, the more technical bit, where you spun out there, Black, on lap number 4. But all of you guys have put all your points, like you guys have tricked the car out to be top speed and acceleration, and so your handling and braking were all in like the 4s, like 3.5 to 4. So you guys, your cars were basically floating around these turns, right? But either the front end was swinging wildly or the back end was swinging wildly. But it is kind of fun, that part of it, but damn, I never want to do this track again.
It was interesting for build strategy as well as
definitely.
The car is totally different. That was the fun part, I suppose. But yeah, the race is very long.
Yeah, I mean it's cool if you like speed. I mean you can put wings on the car and a few of them might take off, right? But yeah, wow, marathon. Good thing it wasn't a 21 lap race.
The old man are gonna have to walk around the block and walk this off. We're all stiff.
Yeah, really.
Well, congratulations, Santero Butts, on your first place finish and crushing time of 4:27.
Well, thank you at the end. I did. Vindaxian did have a 4:27. It's just dirty. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I ended up cutting the track, and I had one small turn left, and I messed up the turn trying to fix the cut.
Oh.
That was 1.4 seconds ahead of a 428 or whatever. But that's neither here nor there. I couldn't catch him anyways. He was ass.
Yeah, I actually got a faster time on the wheel than I did on the controller, which is a shock. So.
Well, don't forget
Yeah, it was lap 14 was your best lap in terms of speed or time. I mean, but I think where you made up a lot of your time too. When I caught you on lap number 14. I switched to you just as you were getting into the very end of the track, the more technical part, all the S-curves and stuff, and you were almost drifting around some of the turns like really gracefully, very aggressively. I thought you might spin out at one point, but I think you made up a lot of time just in that little small section of the track on lap number 14, if I had to guess.
Yeah, this car is has a bit of roll bar, a bit of body roll to it, and for some reason it just hooks. You get to lean in, and you hook and just fly around the corner.
Yeah, that's great. Well, congrats, guys. It was a fun race.
You gotta pick track.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You'd think by now I know what the fuck I'm doing, but...
Double click apply.
That's alright, I keep forgetting to update the calendar to the track. It's the night of, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to put the track in the calendar event.
Alright, so let's do wheel picker.
Race 11 next week.
Which wheel picker are we going to go with today?
Sonoma left.
Ooh, this one looks fun.
Monza, Bathurst, Catalonia, Spa, Americas, Dubai.
I hope it's Sonoma.
Homestead, Miami, Indy, Mazda.
Laguna would be fun.
Bernie's Brands Hatch we've done.
Yeah, Bernie's, Brands, Daytona, Le Mans, Lime Rock, Long Beach, Maple Valley, Rio, Road Atlanta, and Watkins.
Long Beach, right? Maple Valley. Road Atlanta, Rio de Janeiro. Watkins Glen. Le Mans. Sonoma. We've done Sonoma, right?
No.
No. Okay. Road America? No?
Nope.
No.
Okay, cool. So save this list. Excellent.
All right.
Oh my god.
We're out.
Okay, I think we're good. Ready?
Let's do it.
Fried chicken, fried chicken, fried chicken. Ooh, that's loud. Circuit de Spa Francorchamps.
Francorchamps.
Oh, that's the bike.
Francorchamps.
That's the bike track, isn't it?
So,
Spa.
02 Camaro S2000 and Lancia 037.
Damn it! It's my car.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not for this week. Son of a bitch.
When it shines, it gets sidelined.
Mhm.
Very good. Well, congrats, guys. Fun race, and I'll sign off, and we'll get out of here.
Thanks,
All right, thanks,
Frank.
buddy.
Yep,
Bummer.
thanks for coming.
Thank you guys for checking us out here, race number 10, season number 6 of the Over 30 Clans Forza Winter Series. That was one heck of a long track, but a pretty fun one. A lot of top speed, a lot of crazy cars. We're here every single Friday at 11 for at least the next 2 weeks as we finish up the season. So feel free to check us out, over30clan.com or twitch.over30clan USA. Hopefully we can see you guys here next week, but I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll see you